Hello and welcome to the Brick News, a weekly show on all things brick building where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and reading recommendation we do have this week as well. Information is presented as always by setdebut.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And this is where we're going to go. As always, we will go through all the brands in alphabetical order, and with that we are starting with BlueBrixx, a brand here from Central Europe. And they do have a couple of quite exciting announcements. First of all, the Norman Castle Keep 108481. This giant behemoth has 11,243 pieces. It is a square around about 20 by 24 inches and 18 inches in height. So this is not a small set. Actually, if you look at it, it doesn't even look that big. But yeah, I mean, 11,000 pieces speaks for itself. And it's quite a nice castle. It does have the typical Norman architecture, so that makes a ton of sense. It is still relatively, how should I put it? There's not that much detail in this set, right? I mean, if you look at it, this is right now the picture I'm showing in the video version of this show is a top-down version, and if you look at it, it's like you see a bazillion studs. There's not much detail, nothing is tiled, etc., etc. But I mean, again, 11,000 pieces, so yes, there's a lot of stuff in there, but as far as I can tell, it's even feasible to add maybe 1 or 2 additional 1,000 pieces just to get all the details in that you want. But I think it's a great starting point for a castle for sure. BlueBrixx intends to bring this to market as a BlueBrixx Pro set, so we do assume that pieces will come from ZHEGAO. This is to be confirmed, of course, but that's usually the standard they go with. And BlueBrixx Pro means that no digital instruction, only paper instruction, which I guess will be quite a book with 11,000 pieces. With that, we're moving on to the next extension, to the even bigger castle nowadays, Blaustein Castle. Here we have the ramp shield set announced, 108622. So this is basically, as you can see here in this picture, just a small front area, small in quotes, 2,500 pieces. I don't even know where Blaustein Castle is at this point. I guess beyond 30,000 pieces. So yeah, BlueBrixx is basically still having the hugest castle project in the market, you know, with all the extensions and everything. And it's more than that. I mean, if you go here in ZDB on the Blaustein brand category here, I put in all the sets that basically are directly related to the castle. So this was the original one. For those of you who are not familiar with the concept, this is how it all started. And then BlueBrixx basically brought out all of these extensions and piece by piece. And usually most of them were around 5,000 pieces. And you were adding and adding buildings and buildings. And then they also introduced, like with the medieval Amara, or the other one was the medieval guardhouse, or the Blaustein Castle stables, which you can basically nowadays integrate into the palisade. Anyhow, we have currently 2 extensions that are still in announcement phase, so not available. So next to the ramp shield I just talked about, keep in mind that the gatehouse extension is also not available yet. Usually with all these extensions, you can't skip one because they are basically all built on top of each other. But yeah, nowadays I'm pretty sure Blaustein Castle is already in the 30,000 pieces ballpark. It's an amazing castle, but it's not a small thing. Anyhow, next thing is a tuning coupe, a 108292. I'm not exactly sure what BlueBrixx is targeting here, but there was a movie, I think over here in Germany, something in the 80s maybe, using the Opel Manta, or Opel like slash GM back in the day in the US. So they had this sports car which was called the Manta. And I think there was a movie around this one. I'm pretty sure this is the car that BlueBrixx is going for here, but because they don't have a license, as always, it's a bit hard to tell. Anyhow, this set will have 1,627 pieces. It's also going to be BlueBrixx Pro. That is interesting. It does include a couple of stickers, as far as I can tell, maybe also prints, not sure yet. This is interesting because 1x18 cars, BlueBrixx has done a ton of those. but I think this is the first one that is running under the BlueBrixx Pro brand and not BlueBrixx Special. With that, we're moving on to availability of quite an old set, in quotes, by means has been announced quite a while ago. 106904 Kane from the Robocop 2 movie. Actually, I think I never talked about this one here in this show. So this has been announced like almost a year ago. I don't know, sometimes BlueBrixx is struggling a little bit with delays and everything. But what I can tell you is that this set has, it's actually a good question. BlueBrixx has 1,228 pieces. However, the old box art, the original one that I still have here as a picture, says 1,211. So this could be a hint why the set, why it took them more time, because it's kind of a clue that they may have problems with had problems with the construction. So anyhow, now if you're into Robocop 2 and into Kane, here you go, $65, 5.3 cents a piece. Also available is the 3D logo from the 3 investigators. Actually, this is like the German version of this. In Germany, 3 investigators called die 3 Fragezeichen. And BlueBrixx has, maybe they only have the German license. I'm actually not 1% sure. Anyhow, this thing has 200 pieces. I talked about this one before, $15, 7.5 cents a piece. What is also available is the ambulance, the 107-701. This has also been announced for quite a while. I did talk about this one in November 23. So this has been, we have been waiting for this one for a very long time. It is a BlueBrixx Special as far as I can tell, 2,342 pieces. And of course, so this is just the ambulance, and BlueBrixx is just selling this as an individual vehicle. But they also, I think, have kind of a, in quotes, Ghostbusters upgrade kit for this one. However, they don't have a Ghostbusters license. So yeah, it's a bit of a muddy area. But this one here is just the ambulance. So I guess this one is fine. Quite an interesting card. $100. It's not that much, 4.3 cents a piece. And then they have now available, and actually they just threw them in the store, like I think last week. So they were announced at the same time already available, a ton of new birds. So I will not go through all of them because it's actually quite a lot, but I will list most of them for you in the podcast show notes or in the video description. But they are, I think, between $10 to $15, have between 150 maybe 250 pieces, something in that ballpark, and they are all BlueBrixx Pro sets, so it means you get a paper instruction with them. Like I said, I will list all of them. There are a couple of quite nice birds in there, like the gold crest here is a pretty beautiful bird. The common buzzard, how do I pronounce that? I have no idea. The white wagtail. So yeah, like I said, a ton of birds now available. I think BlueBrixx, I'm pretty sure, is nowadays like the biggest vendor of all of these bird sets, and they have like a bazillion of those. But a couple of other companies as well. Common raven, golden eagle. Yeah. I mean, it's quite a lot. I mean, Lego has right now 1 bird and BlueBrixx has like 50. Anyhow, let's move on to Cobi. And here we have now official pictures. I think I haven't talked about this one before. Actually, no, in Europe, we also have availability. This is why I have this one also in this show this week, I think, for the international audience. So a couple of German retailers have this one available. So just as a quick FYI. So that does not necessarily mean that it's now getting available in other European countries as well, but my prediction is it is actually going to. BlueBrixx in North America has it still on pre-order though. 2655, the Panther in this poodle variant, which I think I've talked about this one before. So the poodle is, this was basically by the Polish resistance fighters. They managed to capture, I think, 2 German Wehrmacht Panther tanks from the Germans and used it against them. It's quite a heroic story. So if you're interested in that, I do recommend taking a look. This, however, this is not the first time that Cobi is doing the poodle. I think they did already one like 2 years ago. I actually built the last one. However, this time it is a 2-in-1 set, so you can both use it as the Polish resistance version, the poodle itself, as well as the original German Wehrmacht version. With that, we're moving on to a couple of updates. Also, we have now more pictures, official pictures for the Volkswagen Golf vehicles in the 1:35 scale. So we don't have that yet any updates on the 1x12, the large ones, but the small ones, we have a couple of updates. And also over here in Europe, at least in Germany, we also have now availabilities of these cars, 24613, that is, and 24615. With that, we're moving on to two Willys MB sets. I think, including two minifigures. First of all, we have the 3132. As far as I know, these should be 101st Airborne soldiers, and then you have the Willys MB itself with a machine gun, and then you have a trailer version, as well as a one minifigure non-trailer, smaller version, 3133. Also, again, in Central Europe, we have already availability, so you can expect availability internationally as well. In the foreseeable future, 3133, again, is a small one. It's going to cost you. BlueBrixx, for instance, has this one on pre-order for around $24 US, my apologies, and almost $29 US for the larger one. This is not cheap, though. These cars are definitely not cheap, but yeah, I mean, it's a Willys, it's 101st Airborne. What's not to like? With that, moving on to Funhole, and here we have a new steampunk set, actually quite a small one, 424 pieces for the motorcycle chase 9067. These are not official Funhole pictures yet. I have these pictures from a Chinese retailer, and actually these retailers are selling this one for around $50. What is interesting about this one, I think this is the very first time that Funhole has done something like that. That is that this motorcycle has, it's both it has a riding mode, but also an airplane mode and a capture mode. So there's a little bit of functionality in there. You have 3 minifigures as far as I can tell as part of the set. And of course, I mean, I cannot see it right now. I think it's not on the pictures, but of course lighting. My guess is only the motorcycle itself that has at least a front light, and I'm also pretty sure that these flames in the back should be lighted and lighted. However, the pictures show only the front light. So as always, Funhole sets come with quite a sophisticated lighting package as well. With that, moving on to the new Lego set 40506, Lego Fabulent Tribute. So this is a new Lego house set. So for those of you not familiar, the Lego house, of course, in Billund in Denmark, which is kind of Lego's own corporate museum, if you will, the Lego house. And they always have a couple of exclusive sets. I think during the Corona time, they also sold a few of those, at least the Lego house itself, which was kind of an architecture set, which was originally exclusive. And then they also started selling these online. However, usually that is not the case. All of these sets are 100% exclusive, so you can buy them only on site. And this is now the 6 special, what they call special edition sets. It has 1026 pieces and 4 of these fabulent figures. With that, we're moving on to Top Toy, and here we have more Sanrio set, so Hello Kitty and stuff like that. Actually, they have several new sets announced in recent days. I will not go with that much detail into them. So, however, if you are into Sanrio, if you're into Hello Kitty and stuff like that, there's quite a lot of new stuff on the Top Toy side. I just picked for the new show today the Kuromi Purple Crystal Castle 3101, and yeah, it's a small castle. There's a train and a couple of Technic functions. Lighting is included. I mean, it's kind of a Cinderella castle, if you will, and it seemed based on Hello Kitty. At least that's what I believe. I've never been into Hello Kitty or anything like that, and actually, my wife and I have also never had this in our household, like for our kids or anything like that. So I'm really not into this stuff, but yeah, I think it's Hello Kitty, the figure, one of the Sanrio's thingies. I'm pretty sure, or maybe this Kuromi. Oh, I don't know. It is a cat, right? It looks like a cat, so for me that's Hello Kitty, but who am I to say that? Anyhow, it is quite a beautiful purple castle. It seems to have 1,700 pieces, and you can buy this over in China for around $150. So that's not a cheap set. What is, however, quite nice from a price performance perspective, at least it seems like this, are 4 new ZHEGAO building sets. So these are mini bricks. This is why they look so cheap. But actually, you can buy them in China for around 21 bucks. 2.8 cents a piece. That's not too shabby for 751 pieces. However, again, these are mini bricks. For those of you not familiar with these brick sizes, so mini bricks are basically in the same shape or format like regular bricks, like Lego bricks. They're just smaller. So they're basically like Lego Duplo, but on the other end of the spectrum. I think they are 25% of the original size, something like that. There's also other stuff like diamond bricks. Diamond bricks or nano bricks are even smaller, but they also have a different concept because there's just a limit how much you can shrink the stuff, right? So diamond bricks have much, compared in relation, they have much bigger studs because that's the only way to make the stuff fit. But mini bricks, like I said, it's basically like Lego bricks, but smaller. Which of course is quite nice if you don't have that much space or not so deep pockets. Like I said, you get like a small modular like building for 21 bucks, which is quite exciting. Anyhow, I don't have any detailed pictures of these sets. The pictures that I have here are have a hand-painted, handcrafted picture kind of filter on top of them, but I guess you get the idea. Overall, it's 4 buildings, 313027 up to 30. So 613030 is the last one. And there we have the movie theater, the photo studio, the post office, and the tailor shop. All 4 of them, as far as I can tell, come without figures, which is good because I think these ZHEGAO figures are kind of problematic, at least over here in Europe, because they are too close to the Lego figure, and Lego has a 3D trademark on the Lego minifigure, but so you shouldn't have any customs problem with these. But yeah, again, there's not so much to read out of these pictures. What I can tell you though is that all 4 of them are going to cost you 21 bucks over in China. With that, we are done with set updates. Quick reading recommendation: I did build Brandenburg Gate by Wange, 6-to-11. For those of you not familiar, Brandenburg Gate or Brandenburger Tor in German is a pretty famous building in Berlin. Has been kind of a symbol in many ways. It was built by the Prussians in the 18th century and has been, for those of you not familiar, kind of a symbol of the separation of Germany during the Cold War between East and Western Germany, because basically the Berlin Wall was going directly around this gate. So that this gate is now available to everyone nowadays is kind of a symbol, right, for the reunited Germany and for the peace that came to Europe and the end of the Cold War, even if some people are trying to get the Cold War back nowadays. But that's a different story. What I can say is that I've built the set. As always, Wange sets are a lot of fun by means Wange takes the topic of architecture quite seriously. As you can see, there's some context information on the instruction manuals, which is not uncommon if you're familiar with Lego architecture, but unfortunately these 2 companies are almost the only ones that actually do this thing. Even Cobi, I mean, Cobi is basically doing 99% historical sets, or 90%, and Cobi never provides much context, right? They put a couple of key facts on the box, and that is that. However, Wange is giving you a little bit of context, which I personally always believe is a nice touch and a good entry, good starting point, if you will, to get this thing done. Well, the set itself has also been a lot of fun. There are a couple of prints included. There is no stickers whatsoever. What I really personally have not been the biggest fan of these brick colors. So Wange used their own colors, and especially this green tone. I mean, the idea is, right, to have basically weathered copper, this weathered coppered light green tone. And personally, I do believe there are better colors to represent this. This is a bit too strong, even if I must say I added a little bit of contrast to this picture. So it looks on the pictures maybe even stronger than in reality, but trust me, it is quite a strong tone. But next to that, it's quite a nice building, good representation. Of course, Wange, as always, they're putting their architecture sets on these gray pedestal thingies, which are a little bit like Technic bricks by Lego. And I don't know, I never really liked the look of this. However, in this specific case, it's relatively easy to fix. You just have to tile. I don't know, if you just tile this thing with, I don't know, light bluish gray tiles, then I think you should be fine and have a much cleaner, much nicer look compared to these bazillion dark bluish gray studs. Anyhow, if you're interested, as always, go to merlinsbricks.com or ZHEGAO.org, click on articles. And as you can see, we have quite a range of reviews that we are doing, from lighting to many, many sets from various brands. etc., etc. With that, we're moving on to MOCs of the week, and here we have now another beautiful alternate build for LEGO's new modular building, 10350 by Rebel Neely, the Community Square. And I think this one is especially exciting from my point of view because it looks entirely different, right? It's not a different building. Most alternate builds based on modulars are again a modular, but this thing here is completely different. I mean, you could use it like a modular, right? It fits between two modulars from the concept point of view, but I just really like the design, and it has quite an amazing. It has amazing details. Does not look like it like an alternate build by means of making compromises due to lack of the right pieces. And still it gives, the entire thing has a completely different vibe than typical modulars have. So quite a nice and beautiful modular build. Rebel Neely is asking for 17 euros 50. That's not cheap, but I mean, it gives your new modular another lifetime, right? So I personally, I would be fine with that. With that, we're moving on to Arch's Rest by BlueBrixx. So BlueBrixx is quite an interesting account if you are into Lego Castle, because this designer is providing a ton of designs that always have this certain Lego Castle vibe, go very well with other Lego Castle or even the Ideas Viking Village, stuff like that. So if you're into this kind of thing, this is, I think, an account I would keep an eye on, and I think this is also true here for the Archer's Rest, which is again quite a nice building with Lion Knight theme. Keep in mind, this is not an alternate build, so this is a free mock, so you need to source the parts yourself using Bricklink or Lego Pick a Brick or something like that. BlueBrixx is asking for 5 euros for 868 parts in the instructions. So I did talk about BlueBrixx Blaustein Castle, and however, like I said, 30,000 pieces basically means you need like 2 square meters. Don't ask me how many square foot this is. I guess, I don't know how much square feet is a square meter, maybe like 9. So it's maybe like 15 square feet. I don't know. You need a lot of space for this thing, right? There's nothing you can put on a shelf. So if you don't have the space, this may be for you. Mini Blaustein Castle, which is basically a strongly scaled down version, provided as a mock for free by Fearon. It has still 4,242 pieces, not too shabby on its own. But like I said, it is a lot smaller and still has a lot of the details from the BlueBrixx Blaustein line. And as you can see here, you can even open up the building, and it has features like this, like the original one. Quite an astonishing design. However, if all of that is still too small for you, even Blaustein, you could go for this mock here. Chateau Salinenbrez. I have no idea. I don't speak French. Unfortunately, by Brickinger. And this thing, I think we have talked about certain parts of this mock previously, but this is now the full thing, the real deal. 52,000 pieces, and the designer is asking for $60 for the instructions. Sounds like a lot, but trust me, this is the least of your problems if you want to build this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a really nice castle. It has a lot of historical realism at the same time. It's designed with Lego minifigures in mind, which of course, you know, never that realistic. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid out of, okay, this is like almost architecture, like historical correct castle, but at the same time, you know, especially if you go on the inside, it has a lot of details for you to give, you know, to put Lego minifigures in and have all the charm of a Lego minifigure / castle kind of set. So yeah, I mean, if you want to build a large castle mock and you need a starting point, this could also be for you. But yeah, 52,000 pieces, not too shabby. With that, we're moving on to another Sereno 90 set. This designer has done a Republic hangar. 5,605 pieces. Generally, by the way, if you're into Star Wars, it is always a good account to take a look at. And yeah, this is a large hangar building, and I think it's both interesting as a building on its own. It could be a great way to basically display your most beloved Lego Star Wars sets, but also I think there are a couple of cool building techniques in here. This thing is you know, humongous, but at the same time it looks very detailed. The greebling is very nicely done. And at the same time, it looks like, okay, there's a lot of building techniques in here that you basically can just repeat. And with that, create even larger buildings or smaller ones. So yeah, quite an interesting mock design, €12.50 for the instructions. Then we are going back to Castle, and now Legate of Legion, it seems, is starting a new series again, because this one is called the Medieval Town Square 1, and it's similar to the BlueBrixx design, but means this is like maybe even more so. It has all the warm coloring and all, basically it is a mock in Lego's Castle World that if you look at it, you need to smile. At least I can't help it. I have to smile. It looks like so much fun. And in many ways, it's also maybe a cool mock, not just for you, but also maybe for kids to play with, because yeah, it just has so much detail to it, has an interesting size. However, in a similar design fashion to Lego Harry Potter sets, I would say, it is also quite a shallow facade almost, right? There's like 4, 5, 6 studs on the inside, which is not much, but yeah, I mean, could be also an interesting mock, maybe as a background concept, right? Lion Knight's castle in front, and then medieval market, and then you need something for the wall, like the background behind it. This could be interesting as well. Quite a beautiful mock. And then to my personal favorite of this week, the Nova Class Dreadnought from Babylon 5. Which was like a TV series that I at least was watching a lot as a kid. Or not maybe as a kid, maybe more as like a teenager, but I was a huge fan back in the day. I've never really believed that a Babylon 5 is something that you could do very well in Bricks, because, I mean, I don't know, there's just too many alien species ships that just have too many rounds. It's too many round corners, if you will, right? I mean, look at the shadows and stuff. It's almost impossible to do this well in Bricks. And the same is true for Babylon 5. I think Babylon 5 will never, be something that is very exciting to build. Because it is at the end of the day like a tin can in space, and it is also, everything is quite smooth and round. However, the Earth's battleships are actually something which are almost like hard fiction kind of design. And I think this is something you can do very well with Bricks, and I think this mock by Mangelgrat is actually proving my point here. 4,344 pieces, and yeah, it has a lot of detail. It looks quite nice, ready to go to battle. And then we are coming to an update of a mock I have talked about many times before. Click City by VDWWD. 6,176 parts. And for me, this is, I think I've called this before, like SimCity in Lego. Which is quite amazing, and it's an interesting concept. You have like a bazillion of these small modules, and the idea is that using these modules, you can basically create your own city layout. And has a lot of detail to it, and funny charm. And I think it could also be an interesting game, right? To build your cities based on these modules, and, also maybe something you could do together with your kids. I've always been a big fan. So sometimes people ask me, like, what are the kind of licenses I would like to see in the brick world, like by Lego or other companies to license. And I always thought SimCity would be amazing, because SimCity has already a certain Lego vibe, but there's so much cool stuff you could do. And I think this mock shows this perfectly well. With that, we are done with the show. As always, like, rate, subscribe, follow. It's called differently on every platform. As always, the weekly news show is available as a video version on YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok, and the audio version on every major podcast platform. Spotify, of course, has both versions on it. I think that's how it works. Anyhow, long story short, whatever you can do to help spread the word of the news show, this is, of course, highly appreciated. With that, thanks for listening. See you next week.